Côte d'Ivoire is one of those countries that have an economy that is well diversified. Although it is well known for commodities, coffee, cocoa, pineapple, bananas, rubber, on cashew nuts. They are the leading exporting countries. But it's a country that is also well diversified. It's a country that trades with another country like Nigeria, which comes second as the trading partner of Côte d'Ivoire. So it's a country that is well involved in intra-African trade. So an event like this one will be really a good platform for Côte d'Ivoire to develop and to grow the intra-African trade.
How would we like to, what would your advice be to try and replicate the partnership already between Côte d'Ivoire and Nigeria with other countries across the continent?
Okay, basically in the partnership between Côte d'Ivoire and Nigeria goes around largely oil, because although Côte d'Ivoire has some oil, but not in the same quantity as Nigeria. So they have a refinery that could cater for finishing products for Nigeria. So that trade goes on quite well. I think it can be replicated in several other regions of the continent where some countries will specialize in getting capacity which can cater for the needs of a region. In that way, you can work on economies of scales.
In just a couple of months now, over 1,000 exhibitors will be in Cairo, for this event. What's the level of traction we're seeing so far?
It's coming up. It's coming up probably a little bit slowly, as it is usual in our continent. But now we are getting closer to the event, and we see more and more interest in that event. So today's engagement session will be one that will be critical to ensure that you have a lot more interest in exhibiting and in participating in the trade fair in Cairo in December.
I would like to know what you think the key message would be, especially for reducing the trade bottlenecks.
In fact, the key message is one of knowing what others have. You see, most of the time, we go very far to buy things that you can't find in your continent. I can give you a very simple example. I went to Washington for one of those World Bank and IMF annual meetings with some of my colleagues. And they went to a shop to buy shirts. When they bought the shirts and they came back to the hotel, only to find out that those shirts were made in Egypt. You see, so why should someone go that far to buy something that he can get next door? Essentially because of lack of information. If only they knew that those shirts could be available near their countries, instead of going that far. And going very far also increases the cost of the goods. So this is a message I want to give. The trade fair will be an opportunity for most African countries to show what they have and for others to be aware of what can be available next door.
I'd like you to speak to the role of value addition in the whole mix, to getting more diversified products out of Africa. For example, I'd like to see more Côte d'Ivoire chocolate in Lagos rather than Côte d'Ivoire exporting raw materials. Speak to that role of value addition and how you think industrialization will help improve the mix of products that we trade between ourselves.
This is a critical point. You see, from an historical perspective, most African countries, if not all, except South Africa, were seen as reservoirs of raw materials, commodities, which were then transferred to Europe or America or to be transformed and then come back as finished product. So the value addition until now is largely made in Europe or America. I think it is high time that we can see Côte d'Ivoire chocolate, and we are getting there, because Côte d'Ivoire is now developing its capacity to produce chocolate rather than cocoa. We should see more of these. And once you have those products, it will be easier for Côte d'Ivoire to trade with Nigeria, even if Nigeria produces also cocoa, because the finished product is now a question of competition. When you look at Europe, which is a continent or a region that has more trade between themselves, but most of them are producing finished product, but still they are able to trade among themselves. So I think for our continent, that's the route to take. We should have more value addition locally, because value addition is equivalent to job creation. If you don't add value, then it's like you are exporting jobs, and that is not acceptable.
And before I let you go, we're seeing that the event in December is going to be like a matchmaking between buyers and sellers. I would like to know the level of deals or the size of deal making you will see happening there for you to say yes and look back and say, yes, it was truly a success.
I think it's not an easy question, because we are trying to guess. Now, if I take the total volume of African trade in general, which is about $1.2, $1.4 trillion, my guess is that if we can get deals for even 5% of this, I will consider that already a success, because we are coming from far. If you wanted to put it in a different way, intra-African trade is about 15% of total African trade. If on that particular occasion we can see deals of about 2 or 3% of that volume on one occasion,